Hey YouTube, it's Penny. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, you will know that I have received many dreams and visions over the past couple of years that have involved football. And when I asked the Father at one point, why are you showing me football over and over again? The word that I heard in my spirit was battlefield. Now, I have shared a lot of these dreams and visions in past videos, but when I was talking with David earlier this week about some of the dreams and visions that I haven't shared, we both agreed that it would be a good idea for me to do a compilation video this week in advance of the Super Bowl, just in case that's might be what the Father has been pointing me to. Now, there have been conspiracy theories about the Super Bowl for the last several years that I'm aware of, and I'm not prophesying anything to happen at the Super Bowl, but I would be remiss if I did not bring this information to you so that you could make up your own mind, especially if you are planning to attend the game. So I'm going to start going all the way back to February 4th, 2012. I received a vision of a young black boy with curly hair, and he was dressed in baggy gray pants that were too big for him and a gray sweatshirt, so a mixture of black and white. He ran up to a group of children who were huddled in a circle, all talking like they were planning, their next move, their next play, and he grabbed their football from them and went running right past me with this grin on his face, like he was really pleased with himself, like he had just pulled something off. And the thing that was strange to me is none of the children ran after him to ask him to give their football back. Instead, they all stood there just looking like they were stunned. The interesting thing about the timing of that dream is I received it the day before the Super Bowl 2 years ago. A year to the day later, on February 4th, 2013, another woman received a vision of 4 birds, one of which was a penguin, and the Lord told her, the penguin means they are searching. It points to a period of time. He said, these penguins will be shivering. And the Lord told her, there is a spy in the huddle. So I thought that was not a coincidence, considering that I had seen these children in a huddle, and the Super Bowl that's coming up is going to be very cold because it's going to be played at night in an open air stadium. So is it connected? I don't know. The penguins, it kind of remind me of, men in tuxedos or suits. So something to think about. Okay, so on March 21st, 2012, I saw a little boy who was all alone with his grandmother when she died. He was wearing a football uniform. I don't remember the colors, but he was sitting in the middle of a field and he was cradling his grandmother in his arms with his face looking upward while it rained blood down on him. And he kept repeating the phrase, descends out of heaven, over and over again. And that's when I woke up. Well, the thing that I haven't previously shared about this vision is that the grandmother was shown to me as the actress Blythe Danner. And previously in that vision, I saw her with her daughter, Gwyneth Paltrow, who at the time was about 4 or 5 months pregnant in the vision. And I later learned that Gwyneth indeed does have a little boy, and his name is Moses. He was named after the song that her husband Chris Martin wrote. He's in that band Coldplay. He wrote it for her before they got married. Well, the interesting thing about that song, it says in the chorus, if it's going to rain down, it can rain on me, it can rain on me. And here I saw this little boy with blood raining down on him. Okay, November 14th, 2012, I had another dream about football, only this time David and I were trying to find a parking space outside of the stadium. It was very cold and it was snowing. So I wasn't looking forward to getting out of the car and going to sit in an outdoor stadium in that weather. So it was interesting because it wasn't a covered stadium, it was an outdoor stadium. It was cold and snowy. December 2nd, 2012. I dreamt about a friend who had tickets for she and I to go to 2 football games. One was that night, and another one was in the future, but I didn't know when. Well, in the dream, I didn't want to go with her to the football game that night because David, my husband, was just getting home from a business trip, and I knew that he was going to want me to spend time with him. So, and that was the end of the dream. But today, when I was going back and looking at this, I thought maybe I should check and see if there was indeed a football game, an NFL game, on December 2nd, 2012. And this is what I saw. So the second thing that came up in that internet search was a Seattle Seahawks game. Significant or not, I don't know. Moving forward, on January 5th of 2013, I saw Jim Staley. He's a Hebrew Roots pastor on YouTube. He was sitting at a desk in front of a TV screen or a computer screen. I wasn't sure. He wasn't paying attention to what was on the screen, but it looked to me like some sort of a foreign cartoon. And so I saw the name Shehusha, Shehusha, flash on the screen, and I recognized it as a form of the name Yahusha, which is Hebrew for Jesus. I asked Jim to hit rewind because I wanted to know which country had produced the cartoon, and he just handed me the remote control. So I found the rewind button, and when I hit it, a broadcast of a football game came up. So it was as though the cartoon that I had seen had been sandwiched in the football game like a commercial. And of course, we know the Super Bowl is known for commercials. The interesting thing about this is I saw a close-up of one of the players on the sidelines. He was wearing a white uniform with blue letters, and it was snowing. There were horns blaring in the background, and they got louder and louder until they finally woke me up, and I realized they were shofars. So today, as I was looking at this, I thought, I wonder what the Seahawks, what their jerseys look like for the Super Bowl. And so I did a search, and this is what I found. So they're going to be wearing white uniforms with blue letters, like in my vision. Okay. On January 28th of 2013, I had another dream about a football player, and it had to do with immigration. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing because it was long, but it was like he was going to be deported from the country. On February 14th of 2013, I dreamt that I was talking to a teenage football cheerleader. I told her that I love football and that I used to be a cheerleader myself. And she was standing in front of an open refrigerator. Well, when I woke up, originally I thought about Refrigerator Perry. I'm also wondering now if this has anything to do with the fact that the Super Bowl is going to be played, at night, outdoor. If you go to their website, it's all about them saying, oh, you need to wear lots of clothes, and it says be prepared for anything. So point being, it's going to feel like a refrigerator. The other thing is that when a refrigerator is open, like I saw in this dream, the light is on, but if you close it, the light goes out. So I thought that was strange that the refrigerator was open in this dream. Okay, June 23rd, 2013. I had a vision. Dream, nightmare, really. I was washing my face in the bathroom sink, and when I stood up and looked in the mirror at myself, there was a couple, a man and a woman, standing behind me over my right shoulder. It just freaked me out. And they were wearing what I thought at the time were orange and black football jerseys. Both of them were staring, just completely expressionless, and I shouted at them, "Who are you people?" And then they disappeared, and I woke up. So you know, at the time that I previously shared this dream, I thought that perhaps it was about the Cincinnati Bengals, because they're the only NFL team with, you know, black and orange football jerseys. But because I had done a search to see what the Seahawks are wearing on Sunday, I thought maybe I should take a look and see what the Denver Broncos are wearing. And they are wearing this jersey. If you saw that jersey on a gentleman standing over you in a dream, would you think it was orange and navy, which is apparently the official colors of the Denver Broncos, or would you think that was orange and black? So I don't know if he was showing me the Broncos uniform or not. Um, Later, the fact that that couple that I saw was expressionless, I don't remember how much later, but it was quite a bit later that when I was asking the Lord, you know, who were those people, that he gave me a flash of this. So the American Gothic couple, you know, represents to a lot of people like American values or the American dream or whatever. So um, for what that's worth. Okay, so October 13th, I'm trying not to make too many commentaries on all of this, but it's hard to keep my thoughts to myself. October 13th, 2013, and this was interesting because this was my birthday, and that's why I remember it so well, because we were all together at my parents' cabin, and there was a game between the Seattle Seahawks and the New Orleans Saints playing that day. And so I don't normally watch football, but I tuned in just because I was interested in the game, because of all the football stuff I'd been shown, and because I had this dream where I was taken high above a football stadium so that I had a view, you know, like you would have from like a blimp flying overhead. And in the dream, I was trying to make out the image or the formation on the field, like it was like a marching band during like a halftime show, but I couldn't make it out. So obviously Super Bowls are well known for their halftime shows. So maybe this is another Super Bowl dream. I don't know. Obviously nothing happened at that game on October 13th. So it wasn't about that day. That same night, though, I had a vision of Alicia Keys. As I recall, it was just a flash of her face. And when I back then, months ago, when I looked her up, you know, I noticed that she's kind of connected to the Illuminati, and she's making, you know, the Illuminati hand signs and stuff, in several of the being images that I found of her on the internet. Well, her 2013 tour was called Set the World on Fire, and it began in Seattle. The other thing is that she sang the national anthem at last year's 2013 Super Bowl in New Orleans. On November 1st, 2013, I heard the words, "They're doing one last Hail Mary, then they're hiring a new director next month." I have no idea what that means, but the fact that it said Hail Mary, I thought I'd include it. December 16th of 2013, I had a vision of a can or a canister, I'm not sure which. It had writing all over it that I couldn't read, but I understood that it was poison. So here's the symbol that was on the front. I actually heard somebody pronouncing this, but the way they were saying it was no entrance, like French, like a French accent. And I understood that it was about not eating or drinking or consuming this poison, meaning not giving it entrance into your body. So that same night, on December 16th, I had a vision of a large sporting arena or stadium that was filled with people for, you know, a sporting event. And in what appeared to be like an upper balcony area, I saw a woman who wanted to leave, but nobody was allowed to leave, like they were all trapped. I saw another woman approach the exit door. So she was, you know, going to leave the stadium, but she was blocked by all these beautiful women who were all dressed exactly alike. You know, it almost reminded me of that Deal or No Deal show, you know, where all those models are dressed alike. It was similar to that. Um, they had all been sitting in the stands, so on either side of the aisle. But when she started to approach to leave the stadium, they all moved from their seats and sat in the aisle to block her path. Right in front of the exit door was a woman whom I understood to be, you know, like their leader, and she looked identical to all the other women. And the strange thing about these women is that not only do they have the same, you know, clothes and makeup and everything, but their hair was up on top of their head, but it was pulled half up. It wasn't the whole thing. And so they had this Egyptian look. But when I, you know, later looked up Egyptian beauty, you know, you see all these images of the women with like the straight hair, and that's not what these women look like. The only image that I found was this one. In the vision, I watched this woman walk up the stairs, and she was standing in front of all these other women who were blocking her exit, and she looked over them to the leader and she said, "Come on, Deb." like like she knew her, and I had the sense that there was some sort of camaraderie, like she was part of that same group, only from an earlier era or earlier time point. um, and when she did that, then this woman named Deb gave a signal to the other women, and so they all parted, so that she could pass and exit the stadium. So she was actually allowed to leave, but she was the only one, to my understanding, that was allowed to leave. And this camaraderie reminded me of like maybe how like a sorority, or maybe how former beauty queens, like Miss America, would, you know, have some sort of a, you know, a sisterhood or whatever. So this morning I looked up the name Deb in association with a Miss America, and here's what I found. So of those, Deborah Bryant, Turner, Barnes, and Moffat, so four of them, at least from just that quick search, there were four Miss Americas actually named Deb, or Debbie, or Deborah. So it's interesting to me that the only image that I could find that looked anything like the women in that vision was, you know, Angelina Jolie. So it kind of gives you the impression of, like, you know, I would consider her to be like part of the elite, and she was allowed to leave the stadium, but nobody else was. That same night, December 16th, I had a vision of our coat closet. It was covered in salt marks, like the ones that are on the floor in the wintertime, if you use the salt to keep you from slipping outside after it snows, you know, and it's icy. So anyway, so it was all over the inside of my coat closet. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it was the same night, and also because, you know, it has to do with snow or ice. And then the last one that I had that night was a dream that I was in a grocery store, and there were all of these cans of Alpo dog food. I have a dog. I don't feed him canned food. I haven't thought about Alpo food in, I don't know, 20 years. So this is weird. Anyway, my task in the dream was I was supposed to build an end cap in the shape of a pyramid. So the end cap is, you know, you go down the grocery store during the aisles, and then at the end of the aisle, there will be what's called an end cap, or a display of food that's facing the other direction. And, you know, I mean, you've probably seen when you walk into stores or whatever, they'll have a bunch of cans. It's usually would be like cases of something piled up, because cans would be easy to knock over. But anyway, so I was supposed to build them in the shape of a pyramid. And when I woke up, I was thinking about the capstone on the dollar bill. You know, so that's a total Illuminati thing. If you're not familiar with that, just do a little research and you'll find out. Okay, January 3rd, 2014. I dreamt about a new dog park that was opening, and it's tied to football and it's tied to dogs, which is interesting because, you know, I said something about the dog food, and I have no idea why Alpo dog food. So there's this new dog park opening. It had this fancy name. It had glossy brochures outlining all these, you know, specialized programs for your dog. I saw a van that had the name of whatever this was, which I didn't remember after I woke up, but it had the name and the logo painted on it. And it had some sort of an emphasis on being able to fly into the park. So I took that to mean that it was going to be like geared to appeal to rich people with private planes that they could fly in. But in reality, this was all just like marketing hype and fluff, because what they were doing was they were just renting out a football stadium during their off hours. So it wasn't really a dog park after all. That same night, I had another dream about a stadium, only in this case I think it was a baseball stadium, and it was for women. So here's women again. Don't know what that means. January 6, 2014, I dreamt I was locking someone up in jail for the night, but I knew that I would be back to help them escape in the morning. That same night, I received the two different words, new cage, which of course, cage sounds like prison or someplace that somebody would be trapped. And oh wait, I received that January 6th, January 7th. The next night, I received the word El Camino. And man, I was like, is this about that car, truck thing? I had no idea until January 25th, so 2 days ago, Kathy from the Tribulation Now website and radio show, if you're not familiar with it, I recommend them. She sent me a link about the Super Bowl, and it's in Spanish, and it is, well, I'm going to show you the clip of just the description box. So apparently this YouTube video that she sent me is about the path to the Super Bowl, because it turns out El Camino is Spanish for the road or the path. The imagery in this video is really weird. So I'm gonna just let you click on the link in the description box, and you can go take a look at it if you want to, because I believe that the Father really, that's why he said El Camino to me, because he knew that this would catch my attention when I saw that video. Okay, so back, I think it was last summer, I uploaded a video called A Conspiracy of Fire Will Surround Them, because I had heard that in a vision that I received on June 22nd. And in that vision, it was, I saw JFK flying a kite on the beach with his young son, who was about 3 years old, which of course we know that's how old JFK Jr. was when his dad died. So I saw, so I looked up in the sky to see this kite that JFK was flying, and it was in the shape, it looked like a replica of the Hindenburg. And I heard him turn around and ask his son, what's the fastest, best breeze you can blow in the sky? And I looked back up into the sky at that point and saw several Hindenburg kites. So I don't remember exactly how many there were, somewhere between 5 and 10, but the second time I looked up, they looked more like helium balloons than they did like kites. And I talk about this in that previous video, but the fact that the Hindenburg is similar, to today's blimps, and they're powered by helium rather than hydrogen, which is what the Hindenburg was, although it was originally supposed to be helium. Anyways, there's also about helium and hydrogen. Anyway, so it was pointing me to the Goodyear blimp and I think maybe the MetLife blimp, which I'll talk about in a minute. But also it was signaling me to balloons that are like kites, which I did a whole thing on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, those huge balloons that, they fly like kites. Okay, moving on. March 14th of 2013, I had this really elaborate vision, and I've shared this vision before. It was about this recording equipment and Disney movies, and anyway, what I didn't share at the time was that one of the things that I saw in this vision as I was looking at everything and trying to remember everything I was seeing, I picked up a Seattle Seahawks mug that looked like this. And I remember in the vision thinking, like, what does this have to do with anything? And I put it down. and kind of just, and I didn't share that part. And so now I'm thinking maybe it's important. On November 30th, 2013, I had a vision of Snoopy dressed up as the Red Baron. He was standing on the ground and he had his hands raised in the air, like straight up. You probably can't see, straight up, like he was getting ready to fly, like Superman. And I woke up to the words "up, up, and away." And I thought about that song originally. The Fifth Dimension, "Up, up, and away in my beautiful balloon." Okay, so interesting, two connections here. One was that, so here's a couple pictures of Snoopy, who's kind of like, I think maybe the main balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And this year, he was actually dressed up like the Red Baron. And then I was looking for that. Apparently, so MetLife has their own balloon, like a blimp. And here's a picture, and it's got Snoopy with the Red Baron outfit right on it. So notice it says "for the if in life." So I know they're an insurance company, and that's a cute slogan, but it kind of reminded me of the thing on the SuperBowl website where it says "be prepared for anything." I had mentioned in a previous video that the Goodyear company allowed the use of its blimps for the filming of a movie back in 1976 called Black Sunday. It's about a distressed former POW blimp pilot who helps Middle Eastern terrorists attack the Super Bowl with a lethal device attached to the airship's car. Okay, so I looked it up. The MetLife blimp will not be flying over the Super Bowl because apparently it's going to be too cold to fly, and also because no blimps have been allowed to fly over the Super Bowl since 2001. So even though the MetLife blimp isn't going to be allowed to fly over MetLife Stadium at the Super Bowl, it's interesting because on December 13th, I dreamt all night long about Roman numerals, and I woke up thinking about the Super Bowl logo. And so I did, some research, and I pulled a bunch of the logos, and one of them in particular has the blimp in the logo, and then another one, the football is above the stadium, and it kind of reminds me of a blimp. So I'm going to show you a couple of the logos. Okay, and then here's another logo that I think is interesting because it says the countdown begins to the biggest, boldest, and coldest event in television history. Okay, I'm going to bring you a couple more things about Seattle and Seahawks. Back on July 25th, 2013, I saw a dead man who was being carried out of a building on a stretcher, and he was wearing a white, blue, and gold sweatsuit, like basketball players would wear, like a warm-up suit before a game. And when I saw him carried out, I said, "Oh, another dead Seahawk." Okay, and that was the end of that dream. Well, when I was a high school cheerleader, our mascot was the Seahawks. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually from the Seattle area, and I went to high school up in Anacortes and San Juans. Well, anyway, when I woke up, I was like, well, our colors were purple and white. Why did I see this, white, blue, and gold sweatsuit? Well, when I was a cheerleading coach in my 40s, the school mascot for the school where I coached was the Eagles, and their colors were blue, gold, and white, and an eagle is similar to a Seahawk. But I wasn't really sure, what was the deal with this dead Seahawk. But the fact that, I actually wrote down blue, white, I wrote down he was wearing white, blue, and gold. So like white was the primary color, and then blue, and then gold. And let me show you a picture of that Seahawks uniform again that they're going to be wearing on Sunday. Primarily white and blue with like gold around the letters. Again, I don't know if this is if it's related, but it just all seems too coincidental. Anyway, on October 29th, I had a vision, and it was a series of codes, like UPC codes, and they were in a vertical column. They were all they looked the same, and they all started with the capital letters SEA. Upon waking, I thought, oh, SEA, that's shorthand for Seattle, especially for flights going in and out of SeaTac Airport. So it's possible that I was actually being shown some sort of a flight manifest or something. Again, I don't know. Let's see. December 13th, so that was the same night that I, dreamt about the Roman numerals. I had I had this spiritual warfare dream that was immediately followed by a dream about law enforcement in helicopters doing some sort of surveillance outside of the building. And then the next night, I saw the Roman numeral 3 again. This is a long dream. I won't tell you the whole thing, but the words that stood out for me was I saw it on a Sunset magazine, so I think the word sunset's important, and I saw it was about something that was happening in 3 days, but the 3 was the Roman numeral 3. And so again, I don't know if it's connected to the fact that the Roman numeral in the Super Bowl logo, for 48 ends with the number 3. And then also that night, when I was going back later and I was, writing down my dreams from that night. Well, I write them down in the middle of the night, and then I type them up later. Well, I had written down 2 words, game and combat. I have no idea why. I have no recollection of even writing them down or what I saw. Okay, so, the fact that one elaborate vision I had, where the Father was really showing me that they are editing things in videos and movies and television and all of that, that's kind of like, predictive programming for stuff that's coming. Because the Illuminati controls not only the media, but Hollywood and everything else. So I think it's interesting that, not only, about like that Black Sunday movie, but in the movie The Sum of All Fears, CIA Director William Cabot, who's played by Morgan Freeman, offhandedly mentioned his worry was not about the Russians, but he was worried about the guy with one nuke. The movie depicts a nuclear explosion at a football stadium. When I looked in the movie description, online to see which teams were playing at that game, all it says is a major football sports competition between Florida and Chicago was being held in Baltimore. So, meaning that in the movie, it wasn't the Baltimore Ravens that were playing in their own stadium. Rather, that stadium was hosting a competition between 2 teams from other cities, like the Super Bowl does. So I looked at MetLife Stadium, and come to find out, so I think it was built like 6 years ago, and it has the 2nd largest capacity of any football stadium in the U.S. It seats 82,566 people. And then in researching the Super Bowl, I also learned that more than 164 million viewers tuned into last year's game, making it the most watched television program in U.S. history. Okay, so if you were the powers that be, the Illuminati, and you wanted to pull off a major terror strike in the U.S., it makes sense that the Super Bowl would be a consideration for you, considering that so many people are watching it, so many people are going to be gathered in one place, people from all over the country. And I think it's interesting that this year it's Seattle and Denver, considering, some people are calling it the pot bowl or something like that, because both of those states have legalized marijuana. So certainly, just one more reason that the Father would allow judgment to fall. So, well, obviously, I don't want anything to happen on Sunday. But I've been shown so many things over the last 2 years. I've recorded 300-something videos now, and my job is to sound the shofar, the trumpet, blow the trumpet, warn the people. And it's been frustrating for me, I have to be honest with you, because so many things that I've been shown have not come to pass yet. It doesn't mean that they weren't from the Lord. It just means that the time hasn't been yet. And I did my best to try to bring it to you in a way that, we can all work together to put the pieces of the puzzle, in place. But we still see through glass darkly. I still don't know. But I know that it's my job to share what I'm shown. And if I don't, then I feel like I'm being obedient. I'm going to leave you with two things. The reason that David and I decided that I should do this compilation video is that there was a letter that was sent to Steve Quayle's website, and let me see if I can bring it up here, where it was actually, I think it maybe was an email from a gentleman who had a dream on January 7th. And I'm just going to read you a couple things, and I will put a link in the description box. But he said, the Lord gave me a picture of the Super Bowl event and what may come to pass. I really wasn't sure what to make of it, honestly, but so much of what was written in that letter, which I'll speak to in a moment, resembles what I saw. So he wrote down, this is just the notes from his vision. Super Bowl 2014, as in all Super Bowls, there are interesting accidents and disclosures. Janet Jackson, Beyonce, of course I would add to that list Madonna, but be careful about calling everything a conspiracy what is only smoke and mirrors. However, this Super Bowl will be different. Do you see the picture I am giving you? Helicopters flying overhead. I've seen helicopters. Panic in the bleachers. I've seen bleachers. A mysterious fog released into the air. I'm not even going to go into all the dreams that I've seen. Gas, and people wearing gas masks and, different things like that. On such a cold night, I've already addressed that. Now, do you see the explosions? Reminds me of, what's the fastest, best breeze you can blow in the sky? Look at the date of the game, 2214. The vans parked outside. Mass hysteria. Men in backpacks, as in the Boston bombings. The same players, The Dark Knight. Okay, so I did not see that movie, but The Dark Knight Rises, I think it's called, involves a situation, a scene where there's a hostage event at a football stadium. Okay, the explosion of something, and then he writes a missile ? He doesn't know, entering the stadium from above. He says through the dome. I'm not sure why he said that, because this is an open air stadium. It doesn't have a dome. Okay, many will die. For a time, the location of the president will be unknown. I have another dream that I haven't shared about somebody basically stealing the president's limo, which by the way is called the Beast, and taking like a joyride in it. These things I have shown you so that you might know that the time is getting short. The day of the Lord is at hand. Destruction and chaos resound. There is mayhem in the marketplace. So I would say let's continue to watch the stock market this week. But always remember that those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. So he sent this to Steve Quayle. Okay, so the other letter that he's referencing was posted on Before It's News, and I don't know if it's a hoax. I hope so, but there was so much in both this gentleman's vision and this letter that was sent to Before It's News, as well as several other alternative media outlets, that I just felt prompted to share what I've been shown with you as well. So the links are in the description box. As always, lately I'm not allowing comments in my video. Having said that, if you've been shown something that you think relates, let me know. You can send me a private message. Just go to my main YouTube channel, click on About, and then you'll see a drop-down box where you can send me a message. If it's something that I think is important enough to include in this video, I'll go back and add it in the description box, so that other people will know about it. But anyway, that's all for now. I love you all. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, our Lord God, King of the universe. Amen.